want to start by asking who in here is perfect? Okay, good. I'm sure most of you have been asked this question before, and it's always the same response. No. And that's because we're simply not perfect. But yet, we are. But I'm not saying that any of us are without sin, just that we were created perfect in the beginning. And think about it. God made us in His image. He exerted His mighty strength to create this world and us. Genesis 2:3 says that God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it He rested from all the work of creating He had done. So you would think that if God exerted His mighty strength in creating us, that if the holiest of holies stepped back and said He was finished making us, then we would be perfect, wouldn't we? But what I'm getting at is that God put great effort into His work to be able to say that it's finished. He also gives us the strength to do the same. The first thing is our worship. Deuteronomy 6:15 says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength." But worship isn't the only thing that we should put all our strength into. We should give everything we have in every part of our life. Ecclesiastes 9:10 says, "Whatever your hands find to do, do with all your might. For the realm of the dead, where you're going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom." Basically, this verse is saying that while you're here on this earth, give everything you have into the task ahead of you. From sports, to work, to friendships, to relationships, to just about anything. And if you do this, you won't believe what you can accomplish. This brings me to the story of a man named Sir Edmund Hillary. Some of you may know who he is, and some of you may not. But this man is known for the persistence in the task set ahead of him. And he reaped the rewards for it. Well, what's so special about him is that he was the first man to climb Mount Everest. Well, he and his porter, Tenzing Norgay. In 1953, Hillary decided to join a British mountain climbing expedition to climb Mount Everest. And he was an experienced mountain climber, plenty of mountaineering under his belt, but this is the tallest mountain in the world we're talking about. He knew he would face many challenges, one of those being a life or death experience. He was crossing a crevasse, and he stepped on an ice block, which was wedged in between, when all of a sudden it gave way and he plunged into the crevasse, only to be saved in the nick of time by a rope attached to his porter's ice pick. He just made his way out of the crevasse and kept on going up the mountain, which I find this a great example of persistence, because when most people would have said, they almost died. They would have thrown in the towel and be like, "I'm just going to go back to scrapbooking at home or something." But he kept on going up because he knew he could still accomplish more. And the thing is, Hillary was never fully confident whether he could accomplish this task either. But he quoted saying, "My feeling is just that I would give everything I had." Because of that mindset, Hillary was the first to set foot on the peak of Mount Everest. And once more, until the day he died, he stayed humble and said that he and his porter set foot on top of the mountain at the same time. So he shared the credit. But none of this would have been possible if he didn't put all his strength into the task ahead of him. And it's only because of that he looked back on that day and said it is truly finished. This reminded me of a relatable event in history that you should all know very well. And that is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The reason why I made this connection is because of the passion, drive, and goals that fit into both events. Hillary's goal was to climb the tallest mountain in the world, which he accomplished by giving his best to the task ahead of him. Jesus also had a goal and reason for doing what he did, and that was to save us, God's perfect people, from the imperfections of sin, which he did accomplish, but only because of the same reasons that Hillary could climb that mountain. He gave all he had to the trials and tribulations ahead of him. Jesus could have backed out at any time, for he had the power, because he was the Son of God, after all. But he didn't give up. He continued and gave all of himself. John 19:30 says, "When he had received the drink, Jesus said, 'It is finished.' With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit." And when Jesus says it's finished, whatever needed to be finished is done. It's over. If anything, Jesus' actions and words give us the best example of how we should live our lives, which leads me to why I felt compelled to write this sermon. It's not to teach you a new story out of the Bible or to cram more verses into your head. No, this is solely about you. And me, of course, too. In fact, I don't even think of this as a sermon, but as an inspiration, a life lesson that God has laid in front of us. An inspiration to do what God did when he created this world, what Jesus did when he died on the cross, and what God is still doing today. An inspiration to follow in Jesus' footsteps and give all ourselves into everything that we do. Because if we don't, it will all be for nothing. One of my favorite quotes from Steve Prefontaine, who's probably one of the greatest runners ever, says, to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. And I find this completely true. Because like Jesus said and showed us on the cross, it's only once we give all of ourselves can we step back and truly say that it is finished.